You need to approach the AI from two angles, right? So first one is, I would say, internal. How do you increase productivity? How do you work smarter inside an organization? And then from external, looking at the business model, right? So the world is changing, and the evolution of technology is changing how our customers and clients operate, how companies operate, and we need to think how to adapt our business model.
AI isn't the future, it's now. And whether you're in HR, sales, operations, or leadership, the choices you make today will determine whether you thrive or get left behind.
All right, Judyta, I'm going to just start off hot, right? Like, you have had a career that has spanned finance, it's spanned real estate and law. I mean, you've done it all, right? What first drew you to investment and development?
You're right. Yes, my background is legal. I was working for a London-based firm doing transactions. From the beginning, my focus was on real estate and infrastructure transactions. But then, as much as I love and value consultancy, I wanted to be in the driving seat. So that's why I moved to the business side, and I started working for a REIT, first stock listed company which owns and operates assets. And then I moved to a development company, Echo Investment, and where we actually create. Just to give you an example, we take a 5-hectare plot in the city center, and then we need to design it, rethink it, and build it, right? So in real estate, you plan long term, because construction and permitting takes time. You need to have a long view, 5-10 years, how the market, how people will, how our consumers will want the product looked in the future. And that's why, we are exploring and researching, how also new technologies are impacting the market.
Judyta, how are you using AI in your business today?
We need to approach the AI from two angles, right? So first one is, I would say, internal. How do you increase productivity? How do you work smarter inside an organization? And then from external, looking at the business model, right? So the world is changing, and the evolution of technology is changing how our customers and clients operate, how companies operate, and we need to think how to adapt our business model to stay competitive, right? So these are two angles, right? When we come back to this internal one, how to increase productivity, I would say that currently, because a lot of individuals are using AI tools, and the adoption rate is very high here. Then this is very individual driven. So whenever you have someone that is really into AI, into the solutions, they use it and they tell their team to use it, then you have a high adoption rate, right? And so I would say it's from the bottom up, the adoption. It will take time. When we see more successful digital transformations coming to companies and really changing the workflows and adjusting it.
Now, which technologies are you using? Are you a ChatGPT kind of girl, a Perplexity, or what are you using today?
ChatGPT and Perplexity. I tried Claude, Gemini, but I stick with Perplexity for research and ChatGPT for the rest.
Can you tell me maybe like an exact use case of how you would use Perplexity or ChatGPT in your work today?
I said research is the first thing, market analysis, then presentations, preparation for podcasts.
Don't say you used it for this.
We would never do that.
We would never. No, I love all of that. And okay, since we also know that you two both kind of got connected through the MIT course, I personally would love to hear, what was your best takeaway from the MIT course? And Judyta, I'll start with you first.
My biggest takeaway was that, the technology changes very quickly. We have the tools there. but companies and organization changes much slower. When you look at that there's an 80% failure rate in digital transformations, which is mainly due to not adjusted culture. So we have the tools, we have the technology, but we don't have the leadership there yet, and the culture needs to catch up, right? And the people need to feel safe when adopting the AI technology. They need to understand that the tools are not them to replace them, but to accelerate, to amplify the work, to increase productivity, to make life easier and free space for strategic thinking, right? So this was my biggest takeaway, that, although we see the tools are there, it will take time for companies to adapt. But anyway, the technology will change so quickly. We need to learn, and we need to start to be a learning society for our life.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. I think I always say that the tech is ready, the culture is not, right? AI literacy is probably the biggest challenge that I'm seeing out there in the market. And, I would say, you said bottom up, and I was like, I think it's going to take a kind of a whole society approach and whole company approach, right? It's going to be bottom up, top down, middle out, right? All of these things have to happen. One of the things that Erica and I do quite a bit is we always tell folks there's 3 things to get people to really adopt this technology. You got to make it personal, you got to make it fun, you got to make it safe, right? Once you make it personal, fun, and safe, folks will have their own aha moments, their own unlocks. And to your point, once those individuals, whether it's in those functions and especially in leadership, start to see the value and see how they could be much more productive, right? Then they start to push this, and then everybody else is like, all right, then that becomes the expectation, right? And then when we lose these tools, like what happened a few days ago, right? When Cloudflare, at least in the U.S. in the morning, I think it was from like 6:30 in the morning to like 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, right? It felt like we stepped back into the Stone Age, right? So I 100% agree. The productivity gains and the change management necessary is going to be the biggest barrier.
I didn't realize that it was from 6:30 to 9:30, but that makes total sense because I was up at like 4 a.m. rocking out a whole bunch of stuff with ChatGPT. Got my kids ready, got them out the door, took myself to a little coffee shop and sat down, and I was like, ain't nothing working.
Oh, no.
I was like, I can't work now. And I literally sat there trying to think of things that that would be a good use of my time, right? Because without the power of AI, it expands the time it takes to do all of these things. And I sat there and I was like, I don't have that kind of time right now. And so instead of doing the work, I actually packed up and went home to just take care of some stuff around the house, because those AI tools have been such a productivity game changer for me that it was not valuable of my time to sit there and do it all old school style.
You didn't want to do math by hand?
No, I ain't doing math by hand. I'm using a calculator every time. But I would love to ask you, Judyta, like with all of that in mind, how do you balance this sense of curiosity, but also responsibility so that we are still, exercising our creative thinking and not just completely letting our brains turn to slush?
I think that curiosity is the driver that keeps us, getting to know the new tools, exploring it, to innovate the way we work. And the responsibility part is something that we touch is the safety, right? When people need to feel safe using it, they need to feel safe what happens with the data they are sharing. They need to feel safe in terms of the results they are getting. And for me, this is, to keep human in the center of all these interactions, so that we have the sanity check. We have the feedback that we give, right? When we iterate, when we say, okay, this is not what I wanted a different way. But the same way we interact with chat or any other model, we will be interacting in some agents or whatever digital workflows we will have, right? So to make them work, we need to give feedback, and we need at the end of the day this is actually my view, that at the end of the day there will need to be someone to do the sanity check and push the button, unless we will feel so comfortable with certain workflow and certain tasks that we say, okay, let's let it push the button, right? But this it should be really human experience and human-centered design. when we think about AI implementation.
Yeah.
I want to add something to that because you said something that is, it just kind of triggered something in my brain, which is I see all these people post stuff on like LinkedIn and places about, well, I tried to do this and this was the output I got, whatever. And it's like, well, why didn't you ask it to then fix the thing and tell them that it was wrong? There's just like this psychological barrier. These folks are like, again, they're going back to like the Google Blue links. It's like you asked it to do something, it was wrong. And instead of you asking it to correct it, you then went back and started doing the manual steps yourself. I was like, I don't think that's how it works. Like you have to go back and forth and iterate. And what will end up happening, it will learn about you and you will learn how to communicate to it. And it will start to kind of self-resolve. But I am seeing this weird phenomenon where people will just stop and then say, well, it gave me the wrong thing and I still had to manually clean it up. No, you didn't. You should have told it where it messed up and asked it to fix the thing. And that's weird because it makes changes in milliseconds. So there's a lot of like this human element that we have to figure out.
I think there's just a mindset issue, and that if people can make their mind just understand, like treat this just like a person, you know, you wouldn't, if you had an employee or a partner or a friend, you would give them the direction in how to fix it. And also, we all know that humans are not perfect. Machines are not perfect either. That's why things crash. Things don't get recorded. That happens, right? And so I think we just have to remember that and switch our mindset into that it's not going to be perfect every time. And if we quit expecting perfection, we'll have a much better relationship with the technology.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I fully agree. Great example. And you know, when you're even interacting with the models, you get different answers depending on how you fine tune the question. So you say prompt engineer, but you know, this is basically that, you know, we interact usually in our area of expertise. And this is where, these models work best, right? When I have a legal background, I can draft pretty decent contract using, those tools, but I will never, code an app this well using ChatGPT because I don't have a background and I don't even know what question to ask and what result to expect, right? So when this is an extension of our expertise, it works best, and it has different answers depending on how you talk to it.
Yes, I have a client, a one-on-one client, and she is learning how to use AI and do risk analysis and SWOT analysis. And so she actually came to me with I'll say 90% of the way solved problem. And she said, you know, hey, I ran this through chat. This is what it gave me. But because I'm a chief human resource officer and I have such deep expertise in human psychology and HR laws, she said, I want you to take a look at this and let me know, is there anything I'm not thinking about or maybe any solutions that didn't come up? And so I went through it and literally in red font added things like, hey, also consider this, or like, yes, this is an option, but here's why I don't think it's viable. And it was my perspective, which is not something that can be generated by AI, and it cannot be something learned unless you're that human experience going through it. And so I think that's a really great way to show that people can use it and they can get really far with it, but you still need that human in the loop to validate all of those things. As you said earlier, push the button. Give it the okay. All right, Judyta, I want to take a little bit of a left turn because I think AI and like this whole concept of real estate is so fascinating. It's rapidly evolving. I don't want to say I don't know nothing about it, but I don't know as much as you, that's for damn sure. So I want to know, what are the biggest opportunities that AI can create in this industry?
Because, you know, I will start with something very simple, which we recently implemented, which translates to a big results. So we are now implementing in our buildings an AI analytic concerning energy consumption. And, you know, based only on those analytics that then come back with feedback to the tools that are on the building, and we can decrease the consumption by like 20-30% because it can adjust how much cooling we use, how much heat we use, and through BMS systems, adjust it to checking how many people are on the areas, what's the temperature outside. And this is something which is pretty simple, but it gives amazing results already. And then, of course, in real estate, the sky is the limit, right? We can, we heard recently the Singapore implemented a digital twin of the whole city, and they decide where to put the next building and how to arrange the traffic best. And then they can try and learn based on the model instead of before they make actual decision. So coming from a very simple solutions, which already make a big impact, we can have the whole way through, to very advanced solutions that we will probably see coming in the next decade.
I'm no infrastructure expert, that's for sure. But isn't it when, at least in the US, they'll lay those little tiny strips out across the road and you drive over it? Are they measuring how many cars there are?
I don't know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, that's what I assume.
But to the point that she's describing, right, there's so many opportunities, right? You talked about, 20 to 30% effectively like energy efficiency gains that you can get out of it. Like the weird phenomenon is that the thing that is so power hungry, AI, may be the one thing that helps us solve the energy crisis, right? And so, folks say this all the time. It's like, you can't, what they say, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, you have to figure out and understand how these things work. And it's funny you bring up Singapore, because someone earlier this week that also took the MIT course and saw me presenting on that video reached out from Singapore. So maybe we have to bring that individual on with you, and let's have a conversation about both the course and, how they're seeing the world.
Oh my gosh. Global oyster victim. I love that. All right, Judyta, every podcast we do this one fun game at the end. We call it Last Chat. And Last Chat is where you go back into your chat agent of choice. So for you, ChatGPT, since you told us that's your fave, that's mine too. I'll go ahead and let you know what mine is first while you pull yours up. And then Greg, you can go last. But I did a really fun TikTok the other day where I wanted to show people how I use AI in my everyday life. And I'm a busy mom. I've got 2 kids. I had food in my fridge, but I didn't know what to do with that food. I had no recipe in mind. So I literally brought my phone over and I just did the dictation where it's like talking to it. And I said, hey, I need you to act as a world-class chef and help me create this healthy meal that's delicious. I like a lot of flavors, but I really only want it to be 30 minutes or less. And then I just said, here's all the things I have in my fridge. And I detailed it all out. And it spit out 3 incredible options. I chose one, ended up going through the whole, filmed it and everything for TikTok, y'all. So go give it a like on TikTok. But when I did that, it came out with a really good meal that I would probably make again, honestly.
Good one. I will use that definitely.
I loved it. But what's yours, Judyta?
Listen, I don't want it to sound like a cooking class, but actually I checked.
Everybody got to eat, though. Everybody got to eat.
I checked today how much zucchini can I add to the waffle so that my kid eats the waffle, so it tastes good, but still have some veggies on the plate. And it worked.
I love that, but my kids would be excommunicating me from the house if I try to put a veggie in their waffle.
No, you just don't tell them. Don't tell them.
I think like my kids must be like those like truffle pigs that can just sniff out, when you put something that's healthy in the food.
Smells suspicious.
They're like,
over here.
This is a trick, isn't it?
This is suspicious.
Why can't I just buy them? Use the one that's in the freezer, Dad. So no, that's a good example, and I want that recipe. My wife makes zucchini bread, so we're familiar with that pattern. Mine was, I'm in this desperate stage of AI training and literacy where I'm trying to get people to understand how radically different this is. And so I'm doing a keynote, to a group, and I'm starting to use and play around with some different analogies. So mine was, I want to throw in a comparison of how people are misunderstanding how radically different Gen AI is to historical tech advancements. One analogy I'm using is hang gliders and space shuttles. Please expand on why that analogy works and can be tied into my keynote, right? I'm trying to figure out how do I weave this into a way that people understand, this is like something we've never seen and you can't control all parts of it. And we need to come together as a society to understand how it works because it can scale quickly, but it also can have catastrophic mishaps. And so that is my whole point behind mine. But I do look at food things also.
Yeah, and we love some good recipes. Let me tell you that. We all got kids here, so we all need to eat as well. But Judyta, thank you so much for coming on the AI Voice or Victim podcast. Please don't forget, rate, review, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on AI, Voice or Victim. If you want to stay competitive in the AI age, start now. Take one insight from today's episode and put it into practice in the next 24 hours. Make sure to follow us, share your thoughts, and subscribe for more actionable AI insights. See you next time.